Viltrumite War on Telescria, where with Oliver's help they tear a Viltrumite ship in half before throwing it into space. He really has come a long way since that garbage bag, hasn't he? Now, as the war continues and is brought over to the planet Viltrum, we see a combined effort of Mark, Nolan and Theodos diving through the planet, causing it to explode. Though Mark is said to have not carried as much of the effort as the other two, and Space Racer's gun destabilized its core. However, even with all that considered, we're still talking about 15 quadrillion megatons of TNT worth of energy for Mark to pull this off, and the planet had 1.25 times the gravity of Earth, which makes it even harder. At this point in the story, after the war on Viltrum, Mark wants to rush home to ensure that Earth is safe from the remaining Viltrumite, and to get there he and Nolan fly in a ship that travels faster than light. However, as they approach Earth, Mark gets out of the ship and flies ahead because he is faster. At this point in his journey to become the strongest, it's unlikely he could have kept up that speed the entire time, otherwise they would have just flown rather than take the ship in the first place. Now, it is made clear that Mark is by no means as strong as Thragg when they return to Earth, but he does get a feat that no other Viltrumite shares. Alan comes to spread a new and improved Scourge virus. You know, the virus that kind of like wiped out most of Viltrum? Yeah, that one. Well, it's basically released right in Mark's face. Despite it being a more potent version of the Scourge virus, Mark is able to survive it with the help of Viltrumite scientists and Dinosaurus. And with that, we move on to the third stage of Mark's progression, which is when Nolan takes over the Empire. This is the point in the story where Mark's powers finally catch up to his father's. When arm wrestling, they are held to a standstill, which demonstrates that they are more or less equal. That said, when Mark sees Anissa flying outside and wants to let his father save face, he lets him win. And anyone who reads this and thinks that Nolan just won because he is stronger, crazy talk. Look at the faces in these panels before his victory and you will see that Nolan's about to burst a goddamn blood vessel, whilst Mark is just blankly resigning himself to give his dad the W. And this isn't just in terms of power, but Mark is also way faster and harder to kill. Even looking at Invincible's multiversal counterparts, we are told that he was capable of killing Omni-Man and all the Guardians. However, when Cecil tries to control him, Mark manages to escape and fly across the country, but Cecil just continuously teleports to his location in pursuit, failing to keep up, meaning that Mark quite literally can outfly instant teleportation. So does this mean that he can beat Goku? Well, no. Let's not kid ourselves, because those with the notification bell on didn't miss out on how strong is Omni-Man, which confirmed that he has a power level of around 10,000. So be sure to not miss out and smash the like button. Also, if you want to become even half as strong as Mark right here, then you need gamer subs. That's right, fighting the Viltrumite Empire is a pretty tiresome task, but thankfully by using code ABD on gamersubs.gg, you can save yourself 10% off. Anyway, Invincible scales way higher than this, but by how much? We see Dinosaurus setting a slew of insane explosives off around Las Vegas that quite literally vaporize the city. To be honest, vaporize might not even be the right word. He straight up makes the city vanish, with just a plate of glass being left behind where it once stood. Even atomic bombs leave traces behind, so this is just on a whole nother level. And Mark is dead center of it all. And sure, we've seen Nolan tank the satellite laser, but this is miles stronger than that. So how much damage did our boy take in all of this? Well, basically none. The only thing that really happened to him is that his clothes disintegrated. That's it. However, that's not all, because we've seen Mark casually tank the Mauler twins, who had a nuclear device powerful enough to cause the largest solar flare ever recorded in history if it hit the sun, which is more than 10 billion megatons of TNT. Even the radiation didn't affect him. So in less than 2 years, it's fair to say that Mark's abilities are up to par with a full-fledged Viltrumite, who are averaging 2,000 years old, with the only real exception being Thragg. Any feats that Omni-Man, Conquest, or the others have achieved thus far in the story, Mark can now do, possibly even better. For example, Mark can now fly upwards of 260 times the speed of light. Omni-Man could go up against the likes of Supreme, who was strong enough to move continents. Supreme could even fly past the event horizon of a black hole and back out undamaged. He's also durable enough to smash through planets and stars at light speed. Supreme's eye beams can one-shot moon-sized space factories that that tear planets down, yet Omni-Man was an equal match. However, now it's time to prove he became stronger than Thragg, and the most powerful in history. In fact, in issue 132, Thragg straight up rips Mark in half from his shoulder to his hip, and I think this is where the big difference maker occurs. I see a lot of people talk about how strong Mark is online, but very rarely do people bring up this moment. Thragg leaves Mark and Eve dismembered on the floor dying. This is where Eve's powers kick in and she completely rebuilds their bodies. Here, Mark does a double take and asks her if she made him stronger, and she says, at least a little, yes. However, that raises the question in my mind of how much stronger would Mark need to be made for him to notice the increase whilst just standing there. It isn't like he's trying to lift anything or testing his speed. Just by simply existing, he can feel more power flowing through him. And not for nothing, he mentions this change in strength before even asking Eve if she was able to save his brother. All I'm saying is that I'd have to be going Super Saiyan to put that before checking if my sibling's alive.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Now, if you want to enjoy more peak fiction, then you better click on this video right here.